Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a sleepy Friday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and just a few short hours ago, the Mets completed a 16-inning affair with the San Francisco Giants that unfortunately saw the Mets come up short, losing 3-2. It was a really good game, a back and forth game as far as the one-upsmanship from the pitchers, from both the starters as well as the relievers. So I can't even get that mad about the game. I did my game ball and goats this morning, and I can't even really hang a goat on anybody for last night. So anyway, I'll talk about the game, talk about the rest of the weekend set with the suddenly surging San Francisco Giants. It's unreasonable to believe that the Mets will win every game from here going forward. I want to start out with that, and on that note, because of course I remain optimistic about the Mets making the playoffs, or at least making a run at making the playoffs. And last night's loss really doesn't change that. In fact, if anything, it bolsters my opinion that that's going to happen and it's still a possibility, because over the last couple of days, the Mets bullpen has been really good, and you're seeing what's possible with a good bullpen. Now, look, the counter to that I've read last night, or I guess this morning on the Twitter machine, is that the Mets offense now, they can't score, and all right, it's one game. The Mets offense just scored 14 runs the day before. And they faced Madison Bumgarner, who was on the top of his game and really could have pitched 10 innings last night because his pitch count was so low. So I can't get that upset about it. I mean, this happens. You run into a good pitcher, you run into a hot team, and this sort of thing happens. It's baseball. The good thing about last night is the Mets did not beat themselves. All right? The San Francisco Giants outplayed the Mets. The Mets ran into some really shit luck with Jacob Rhame accepting his suspension, and the Mets being short a guy in the bullpen as a result. And because of that, Chris Mazza had to pitch 2 innings, and we all know how it ended. But look, before Mazza took the ball in the bottom of the 16th to protect what was at the time a slim 1-run lead, which Ahmed Rosario felt, this was fine, I don't care, I'm going to get picked off because I want to go home. In the top of the 16th, after Alonso hit his go-ahead home run, Mazza had pitched a good 15th. Before that, Wilson was really good. Before that, Gesellman was great. It was the best Gesellman has looked in weeks. Before that, Familia was really good. Edwin Diaz was good. Seth Lugo was good. Yes, the Mets lost the game, but you got to look at these other things that I just said as victories, almost as important as winning this game might have been, because it sets the Mets up to build a little bit of confidence for these guys to say, hey, I just did it. Familia's now pitched 3 consecutive good outings. Diaz has pitched 5 consecutive good outings. This is, I understand it seems weird, but this is a fickle thing with these relievers where they have to build up their confidence. They have to get their confidence back. And once they have it, it's going to be tough to relinquish it because these guys know what they're doing. These are good players. And I said it all along. The Mets season is going to rest on the bullpen figuring itself out. And if they figured it out now, wonderful, because that's going to make for a far more enjoyable second half. Whether the Mets make a playoff run or not, and whether the bullpen figured it out too late or not, it doesn't matter. That they figured it out is what's important to me, right? To have this be baseball that's going to be enjoyable for a full game and not just for 6 or 7 innings. Speaking of 7 innings, Noah Syndergaard last night pitched 7 really terrific innings. You can't possibly say anything else. Syndergaard got himself into trouble a couple of times, had runners on third base with nobody out, and ended up getting out of those jams. Noah surrendered 1 run in his 7 innings of work, 8 strikeouts, pitched a really, really great game. Unfortunately for him, very much like the 2016 wildcard game, he was outpitched by Mad Bum. It happens. It happens to lots of guys. So Syndergaard was good last night. The Giants' bullpen was just a little bit better than the Mets' bullpen. And again, like I said, Chris Mazza really, unfortunately, gets the loss. But, you know, you can second guess the use of Diaz when Mickey Callaway went to Diaz, you know, with the tie game on the road. You know, it's a double-edged sword there, because if he doesn't go to Diaz there, if he goes to, say, I don't know, Gesellman or someone else in that spot, and Gesellman ends up coughing up the game, then he gets criticized, Callaway does, for not bringing in his best reliever, you know, his closer, for saving his closer, letting his closer sit on the bench while lesser guys gave up the game. You'll always have that counter argument, so I can't get that mad about what happened with Callaway's bullpen management and when he brought guys in. So it's a loss, and it's fine. The Mets pick right back up tonight with Jacob deGrom on the mound. I have a theory, because the Mets offense was stymied last night, or earlier this morning, the bats are gonna show up tonight for deGrom. That's just my theory, but I hope that's the case, and I hope deGrom is up to the task. I suspect he will be. And it's an important one for the Mets to win tonight, because tomorrow they have Walker Lockett pitching in Zach Wheeler's spot in the rotation. So should be the last start that Wheeler misses, but in the meantime, Lockett, of course, not exactly a lockdown pitcher. No pun intended with the whole lock thing there. But he is a fly ball pitcher, and I can't think of a better park to suit a fly ball pitcher than the artist formerly known as Pac Bell Park, which is what it'll always be to me. I can't call it anything else. But anyhow, and then of course the Mets wrap up the series on Sunday with Steven Matz on the mound. So honestly, I'm looking for a split in this series. If the Mets can split, take two from San Francisco, who, by the way, are just a game under 500 right now. That just shows you how quickly things can turn around. And they went from, we're going to be selling off Bumgarner, and we're going to be selling off Will Smith, and as many pieces as we can. They went from that to, we're 2.5 games out of the wild card in like 5 days. So it's this trade deadline this year is going to be interesting to watch, and it's going to be fun to watch, because really a team's fortunes can appear to change over the course of a week. And it's going to make it really difficult for these general managers to pull the trigger on some of these trades. Look at the Giants. If they were to trade Bumgarner and then they missed the playoffs by like 3 games or something, you could point right at that and say, man, if the Giants had Bumgarner, they would have won those 3 extra games, they'd be in the playoffs. Hypothetical, you know, but it's always easy to look back at that and sort of point to it as a turning point. And that's, of course, what fans will do, especially to Brodie Van Wagenen, who can do no right, according to each end of Mets fandom. Which, you know, it is what it is. That's the way it goes. He knew that when he took the job, and I don't think he really cares. And according to half of Mets Twitter, he prefers it that way. He's a snake oil salesman, and he only accepted this job, which, by the way, pays like 1/20th what his previous job paid. He only accepted it so that he could get his clients jobs, because it would have been really hard for Jed Lowry to get a job without Brodie Van Wagenen becoming the general manager of a major league team, whatever. So anyhow, that'll wrap it up for today. I'm tired. I'm still a little bit shocked by the loss. But the best thing about baseball is that we get to pick right up tonight and forget what happened the night before, or the morning before, in the case of 4 hours ago or 6 hours ago or whatever the hell time it was when the game ended. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching. I will be back on Monday to recap what is hopefully a successful series with the Giants. Again, I'm thinking a split is what we should be aiming for. If we do better than a split, that's wonderful. If the Mets are able to take the next 3, that'd be great. But we'll see what happens, and I'll talk with you guys about it on Monday. Till then, you can follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.